Welcome aboard, everybody. Seeing a bunch of you log in now. My name is Benson Fechter, as you can see on the screen there. We are very happy to have all of you joining us. Today we are going to be going over what we call mastering the 6 pillars of success. I am with Legacy Paint Holdings. Thank you to Sherwin-Williams for sponsoring today's event. As some of you may know, we are going to be giving away a $500 gift card that they have so graciously given us to give away to one of our contractors live in attendance today. The only way that you can receive this gift card, however, is if you stick around until the end of the event. And if you are around at the event, at the end, we'll be giving out sort of a code word for you all to put in the chat to prove that you're live and listening, and we will do that drawing at the end of today's webinar. We're going to spend about an hour together here today going through, again, these sort of 6 pillars of success, and why don't I jump into the content slide here. We're going to try to spend sort of even time going into each pillar. Some of them are more important than others. For example, sales and marketing, we're going to drill a little bit deeper into. Then I'm going to drill into like business systems and sort of tax planning. All of these are equally important, though, and the reason why we call them the pillars of success is because we believe that if you get rid of one of them, right, if we don't factor in our accounting or our tax planning, it's going to negatively affect us when we are doing our marketing, because we don't know how much money we're going to be able to spend on our marketing, right? And if we aren't hiring people properly, if our HR isn't doing well, then it's going to negatively affect our financial planning because we're not going to have the manpower to be able to get the necessary jobs done. So that's why we call it the 6 pillars of success. Each pillar is needed to be successful, and we are going to go pretty quickly through here. I'm not going to be able to cover absolutely everything in each one of the areas here. So what I am offering and what we have partnered up with Sherwin-Williams to do is provide free one-on-one sessions. The first session is absolutely free. There is no cost to it, and you can sign up for that one-on-one session today. As we go through the webinar, we'll be able to throw the link down here, I think below the screen that you are watching. And lastly, I do like to try to take a little bit of time at the end of the webinar for questions. So our private chat where you can directly message me, and I'll be monitoring it throughout the webinar here today. Drop your questions in there, and I will be sure to get to them. Also, in your question, I like to know where you are viewing from. Give us a little bit more context. So, I am John from Oklahoma, or, Tom from Mississippi, or wherever you are from. Make sure in your question you throw that in the chat just to give it a little bit more context behind it. Okay, so why don't we start with just a brief, about me, the presenter here today, and a little bit about our company. As I mentioned again, my name is Benson Fechter. I run the show here at Legacy Paint Holdings. A bit about my personal background. I started a painting business in 2020 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm not sure. Let's see if I can throw my pointer on. If you can't tell that image, that is the great city of Pittsburgh in the background there. And started my business there sort of around COVID time, March, April of 2020. And as I'm sure all of you, I was given the gift of having abundant free time. And I decided to use that free time to be able to start a painting business. And it was me and my brother simply wanting to make a little bit of money, during the quarantine rather than sitting at home playing video games. So that is what we did. And we realized pretty quickly that we were pretty good at sort of the selling and the marketing. At least that's where my expertise was. And my brother was pretty good at sort of the day-to-day operations of the business, actually getting, the work done. Really good at sales, really good at marketing. We were great at hiring people, taking good care of our people, and this whole financial planning side, and really standardizing the operation from top to bottom. And that's what we did. Within 2 months of me starting my painting business in 2020, I was completely off the tools, did not touch a paintbrush. And for most painting contractors, you can go 20 years still being on the brush and still being on the tools. And what I realized going through this is, hey, if I can go from literally nothing, having little to no previous painting experience, I painted on like a few mission trips and whatnot throughout my time, but no serious painting experience besides my own place and mission trips. That why don't I take this model and take this formula and bring it to other areas, to other locations? And that's what we did. The following year, 2021, we decided, okay, we want to take this model and make it bigger. So we opened up 4 satellite locations, Pittsburgh plus 4. We had 2 locations in Rhode Island, a location in Connecticut, and 1 in Louisiana, and learned a lot throughout that process, right? Learned all the ins and outs of business and running a multi-state operation and a multi-location operation. And we were able to get from literally nothing to 5 locations, fully functional, fully operational, each location bringing in $20,000, $30,000 a week within less than 2 years. And really had a good time doing it. But there was a lot of overhead, a lot of liability, everything that comes into it. And so I got to thinking, how can I bring sort of this knowledge and this experience to the wider area of the painting industry? Because what I had that most painting contractors had, or didn't have, what I didn't have, the most painting contractors had, is the painting experience. What I did have was sort of the business acumen and the business background that I was able to systematize and create a really successful business out of it. And so we decided to take our systems, package them together into these 6 pillars, and license them through a company I created called Precision Painting Advisors. Now, we've been running that business now for the last 2 years, and I'm still intimately involved with the day-to-day of that operation. Had a ton of success doing this. Way bigger of an impact than I could have otherwise have had simply running a painting business on my own. Being able to take what's worked, bring it to an industry that is really starving for this information and these resources, and just watch painting businesses grow. Now, recently, in sort of the whole Legacy Paint Holdings branding, why you're seeing that here today, is because we've decided to sort of get back into the actual painting game and the actual painting business and having a stake in it. And so we've recently partnered directly with some of our top clients that we have, and really some really good fits for our business to create a roll-up and umbrella company that we are putting together a best-in-class company. And our goal and our mission, and we are going to accomplish this, is to create the nation's greatest painting company, bar none. Forget CertaPro, forget 360 painting, line painting, 5-star. All of that will not matter. Legacy Paint Holdings is going to completely change the game, completely change how this industry is run, and professionalize the painting industry. Now, I will say that we are actively looking for partners for Legacy Paint Holdings. So if you aren't familiar with it and you might be interested in looking or learning what it would be like to sell your painting business and join a group like ours, I'm going to throw the link up here on the screen for you to sign up for that informational session. We go 20-30 minutes, just give you a little bit more information about Legacy Paint Holdings. So I hope that gives a good context in terms of my background and how I came to be here in this position, sort of educating painting contractors like yourself. And of course, Precision Painting Advisors, we are still running and operating as a business. And if you're interested in that, I'd be happy to share a little bit of information as we go on here. Okay, so pillar number 1, sales and marketing. It is by far and away, what I think to be the most important pillar of your business. There really is no business without this one here. And we very easily could have done, split this into 2, but I think they're very integral to have together into one complete pillar versus having 2 separate ones. And we're going to do marketing and then sales because in order to sell, we need to have leads to be able to convert into jobs. So I want to talk about marketing and how you can be successful marketing in your area. It is probably, definitely the biggest concern and area of concern that I see from painting contractors all the time. And the way to know if marketing is really your problem is if looking at your current capacity, if all of a sudden it was dropped on you that you had 10 estimates or 15, 20 estimates to do this week, and you were able to close 40% of them, 30% of them, would you be able to handle it as operationally? And most painting contractors I talk to, the answer to that question is yes, we can handle more work. we are desiring more work. And certainly as we get into the fall and the winter months here, for example, I'm looking at my little temperature number here. It's 65 degrees today. It's been down in the 50s and everything in the mornings. Definitely the exterior season is slowing down in the areas of the country that see snow, that have a traditional winter. And if that is you, now is the time to double down on your marketing efforts to ensure that you have a successful winter. I know for most of us, we're coming off of our busy season, getting through the summer, and busy season is great, but busy season does not last forever. And what we need to do is make sure that when the winter comes, when the snow starts falling, when we have to be forced inside, that we have enough interior painting work to get us through the entire winter, to keep our employees employed, to keep our lights on and our bills paid. And marketing is the way that you're going to be able to successfully do this. We want to have the highs of the summer and the crazy time when you're booked out for 3-4 months in advance. But when it's shrunken down, we want to make sure that we still have work coming in. So I've sort of segmented marketing into 3 very easy and digestible ways. And you should be doing all 3 of these in some combination, in some fashion. The first area is going to be traditional marketing. And I am a huge believer in traditional marketing. And really, as I go through this, I'm going to define what I call the neighborhood blitz. And this is where you are just blitzing a neighborhood, saturating a neighborhood with your painting business. So when we talk about the first step to take, we need to identify which area this is going to be. And I am a very, very big fan of identifying those wealthy residential areas, high-end residential, depending on your area. You'll know, sort of where those neighborhoods are, working in high-end residential and targeting the heck out of those neighborhoods. And it starts with the door hangers. So I find the neighborhood that I want to be in. For example, in Pittsburgh, I want to do work in Mount Lebanon, Upper St. Clair, and Peters Township. For you, it's going to be different areas. I know for most of you that aren't from the Pittsburgh area, those neighborhoods mean next to nothing. But that's sort of the Pittsburgh context for me. So I know I want to be working in Mount Lebanon. Okay, I've located the zip code, and now I'm going to go design and order some door hangers. And with the door hangers, what you need to be doing is doing them in bulk, in some serious bulk. It really doesn't do you much good to order 100 here, 100 there. I'm a big fan of ordering 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 door hangers. And when you order them in bulk, the price per unit definitely does become cheaper, and you will see a ROI on your investment here. It really takes one job to see a return on investment. So I order my door hangers, let's say I get 5,000 of them, and I'm picking my neighborhood I'm going through. Now I'm going to hang up these door hangers in this specific neighborhood, and typically one of the pushbacks that I get is, hey, I'm a business owner. I'm not the guy that hangs up door hangers. Well, if you don't have work, you should be the guy that's hanging up door hangers. And if you do have work, then go out and hire a local high school student or local college student and go pay them $15 an hour to go hang up door hangers. And it's super, super easy to find. Okay. And then what you need to do if you're paying someone to hang up door hangers, because it's pretty easy if you just hand them a stack. I mean, how do you know that they actually hung them up? You want whoever is hanging up the door hangers for you to download a little app on the phone called Map My Run. The app that people use to track their runs and their fitness. The reason why I use this app is because it'll show how many hours, their route that they took, and you can see exactly, oh, Johnny from Leeville High School hung up door hangers for 2.5 hours, and he did this route in this neighborhood. And now I know not to circle back in that neighborhood. And that's how you keep track of that. And again, I would pay in the range of $15 to $20 an hour for that. A really, really easy way for a high school student, throw their AirPods in, go out, hang up some door hangers. And that's phase 1 of the neighborhood blitz. Phase 2 are the yard signs. And I'm a huge believer in yard signs. Yard signs do work, but in a similar way for door hangers, you have to have yard signs be put up en masse in a hyper local area, like a zip code or 2, and go order 50 door hangers and put them up on every other street corner in that specific zip code. Obviously, you have to be careful with private property and all the rest, but put them in public areas where you can throw these door hangers, or if you've done work in the area, have it stipulated in your contract that you have to have a yard sign up in the yard. and put these up. And again, what we're trying to paint a picture of here is we put the door hangers up, and then all of a sudden I see the door hanger. I'm driving through my neighborhood. I'm seeing the yard signs everywhere. And eventually what this is going to lead to is you being on job sites in that particular area. And then when you're on the job sites in that area, you better have a nicely wrapped truck. A truck with your logo. It looks really nice. It's clean. It's professional. Your guys are doing a good job. And then all of a sudden I'm driving down the street and I see the Tom's Painting truck. I just saw the lawn sign. I had the door hanger come in a few days back. And now I'm going to come in and send mailers to that specific neighborhood. So I'm going to the mailbox and I'm seeing the name. And it's all about repetition, repetition, repetition. That is what marketing is. So many people make the mistake of thinking just because I spend X amount of dollars on this, Y marketing initiative, that I'm going to see an ROI simply because I spent the money there. But that might happen, but the reality is that's not going to be the case unless you are hyper local about it and are very, very specific about the target market that you want to be doing work for. That is a traditional marketing blitz. The door hangers in bulk, the yard signs in a hyper-local area, like 50 of them, get them up tomorrow. And then the mailers that come in after the fact. And then obviously your truck when you are there. Now, when we step into the digital marketing space, we have a really good baseline and a really good foundation to build off of. The last thing I'll mention on traditional marketing that I neglected to throw on the slide here are home shows. Home shows are a fantastic place where you can go exhibit your business and get in front of thousands of homeowners over the course of a weekend that are actively looking for home improvement contractors. Get into your local home show. There's a website called homeshowsnearme.com. Find your local home show there and make sure to get yourself into them. So now we have a really good foundation that we've set, right? We're talking about the door hangers, the yard signs, the mailers. Let's step into the digital marketing space and talk about how we can make an impact there. Most of the questions that I get sort of in the digital online world is on digital marketing, website, search engine optimization, Google ads, Facebook ads. And for those of you that aren't familiar with sort of that world, it can almost feel like a foreign language or like an impossible code that we need to crack. That's why we set the foundation with traditional marketing and we build off of it with the digital marketing. And the digital marketing, the first thing that I'm going to say is absolutely, unless you need it or unless your business has been super, super reliant, please do not be buying leads from Angie, Thumbtack, or other platforms. Because what you are doing, and I was talking with a guy, we have a partner company of ours in Boston, spending $2,500 a month on Angie, and he's maybe getting 2 or 3 jobs a month out of this. This guy is spending $1,000 per job through Angie. Now, I know for some people it's a little bit lower than that, but it's much more saturated in the Boston area, but just a ridiculous figure and an unacceptable number that you should never be spending. And when you send that $2,500 or that $500 or that $1,000 a month to Angie, you are building Angie's business. Because if you ever go on Google, and I challenge you to do this right now, and look up painting contractors near me, the first things that are going to pop up are Angie and Thumbtack, because they are taking your hard-earned money, and when you pay them, they are then taking that and building their own business. And when you send $1,000 a month to Angie, that is $1,000 that you could be spending on door hangers, $1,000 you could be spending on yard signs, getting into a home show, sending out mailers, optimizing your website, paying for Google ads, Facebook ads. Such an opportunity that is wasted. And on top of that, when we think about marketing, there are 2 main focuses and main reasons why we market. Reason number 1 is obviously to see an ROI, to get jobs and to keep our schedules busy. But reason number 2 is sort of long-term brand recognition. We are the painter in your specific area. That is a very important goal that we are looking to accomplish here. And so what you want to do is establish yourself as that painter, because painting typically isn't something that we just do on a whim, right? It's not like it's a Facebook ad where I'm seeing it and, here's this nice product. Like recently, my wife and I, we bought a house in Pittsburgh, and we had all sorts of issues with these lantern flies that were everywhere. And I was looking up remedies and everything online. I'm scrolling on Facebook and I see this do-it-yourself at-home pest control sort of spray that I'm able to get. And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. I'm going to buy that on Facebook. That's sort of an impulse buy. Painting in a similar way, you can have it targeted towards like home improvement, buying and selling a house, all the rest, but it's a lot less impulsive because of simply the average cost that's associated with it. So back to looking at why we don't buy leads from Angie, Thumbtack, all the rest. It's because we're building their business, A, and B, it's expensive. C, we often get tire kickers that are on these sites. Literally anybody. I mean, painting contractors in here could go on Angie and put in, just fraudulent information, and they'll send that info out to contractors and charge them for it. I know they have their disputes and all the rest, but it's not perfect, as those of you who have used the platform know. And the other thing is you're competing with so many other contractors, right? They might send the same lead to 6, 7, 8 different guys. And so all of a sudden you get a notification. You have to race to the phone, because if I'm contractor number 7 giving you a call and I've already scheduled 2 or 3 estimates, I'm not going to schedule 7 of them, right? And you want to race to the phone. And when you get there, you're competing. And when you're competing, you have to really get bottom barrel pricing. Whereas door hangers, yard signs, mailers, traditional marketing, typically you're not going to be competing with other people. Now, maybe your door hanger, you get a call and then they're like, okay, we're going to call, a few other painting companies. But I've often ran into situations where, because we are sort of approaching them and reaching out to them versus the other way, that what will happen is you are going to be competing against you, which is a far better position to be in than competing against others for the same job, where it's a race really for pricing and a little bit of quality. Okay, so digital marketing, what should we do then? After we've built the foundation on traditional marketing, after we've decided, okay, we're going to ditch the lead, buy the lead providers, we want to use our website and our search engine optimization really as the first place to go. And the reason why we want to focus here is because the good news is that it is generally free. Now, companies like mine, we specialize in helping with SEO and sort of keywords and metadata and backlinks and sort of all that has to go on behind the scenes to make it work. But there are so many great free tools out there. SEMrush is one of them. If you use like Wix, they have the Wix SEO tool sort of engine in the background there. You can do this for free. Absolutely, 100%. You can, design a website way easier than we've ever been able to do it today, from WordPress to Wix, GoDaddy. I mean, so many great templates that you can just plug and play with that require no code, drag and drop, create your websites, and make sure they look good. Now, the common mistake that I see with websites, and I want to caution you about, is that when we are thinking about websites, most people are thinking about the computer here. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are watching on the phone versus watching on the computer, but let me pull up, one of our partner company. I can pull up their information here. We have a company in South Carolina that we work pretty closely with. Really big company, several $1 million a year that they do. Each month on their site, about 500 people visit the site. And I'm curious to see, out of those numbers, I'm doing this on the fly, how many of them are mobile versus the desktop. And the answer to that question, the mobile versus desktop, if we can find it here real quick. There we go. 77% of people have visited this website on their phone versus their laptop or their desktop. You need to be primarily focused on the phone versus the computer. Computer is great. That needs to happen. But when 3 out of 4 people are visiting on the phone, that's what it needs to be optimized for in terms of look, feel, and how it works. I'm sure you've all been on a clunky site on your phone where it doesn't match up, and you're going to exit it pretty quickly there. Now, on the website, I don't want it to be too cluttered. I don't want it to have too much, but there are a few things that it should have. Let me just take a sip here. The few things that your website should have are really sort of pictures of your job sites, before and afters, testimonials, reviews. Videos are great. Connected to your Google business profile with your 5-star reviews. And another very important thing when we talk about Google is the benefit of those 5-star reviews. When you start getting really up over the 30 number with 5-star reviews, you're going to organically appear towards the top of Google when people are looking at painters in your area. It's very important that you are doing this on a regular basis, updating your website, a blog section with fresh content, new index pages. Very important that you are spending time making sure that your website looks very, very nice. Now we get into Google Ads. And what do we do with the Google Ads? There are really 2 forms of Google ads are important to focus on. You have PPC, which is pay per click, where you are buying keywords, and you have LSA, which are local search ads. Now, for sort of the guaranteed results, I'm a fan of the LSA, the local service ads, where you have that little Google guarantee badge next to your name. And it's more of a traditional lead provider, but it is by far and away the best lead provider out there because it uses Google's system to do it versus Angie or Thumbtack, which is not native, obviously, to the search engine. So we want to focus on LSA ads and probably spend a budget of like $60 to $200 a week utilizing that. Now, when we talk about PPC, that's pay per click, it does end up being pretty expensive to run these campaigns, and you need to have a really, really good website to make sure that it is optimized. Whereas with LSA, the website is not as important because you pay per lead that comes in natively from the Google platform with that Google guarantee. Now, in order to get the Google guarantee, you pretty much just need to upload your general liability insurance and your reviews connected to the Google business profile there, and it's going to be set up. But on the PPC side, it does work if you have a really nice website and it's optimized for traffic to come in. As you can buy keywords like painters near me, exterior painting, interior painting, right? All the keywords that you would think as a consumer, I'm going to look this up. And especially in the digital age where sort of the new referral is going on Google, you want to be appearing towards the top because people have that inherent trust with Google and how it comes in using that platform. So that's sort of the Google side. Now, when we touch on the Facebook ads, it's very important that you have an active Facebook page and that on that Facebook page, you are posting around 3 times a week. I'm a big fan of the Monday, Wednesday, Friday model. And what you should be posting on Facebook are a few different things, sort of your before and after pictures, testimonials. They also like to push sort of in their algorithms and their systems, like sort of those national holidays, even fringe holidays. Like we had a World Beard Day, for example, that Facebook wanted their accounts to post images and stuff for. It's like a whole bunch of stuff. For example, I know coming up we have October 1st, the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they're pushing on Facebook for people to have sort of promotions related to that. Shortly thereafter, it's like World Teachers Day, and a lot of different things in terms of the holidays that they like people posting specifically about. So put fun posts out there, but you need to have active posts if your Facebook ads are going to work. Because I'm sure if you've ever clicked on a Facebook ad before, you're probably curious as to the Facebook page it came from. Like when I was scrolling through on Facebook and I saw, the ad that popped up for, the pest control company, the first thing that I did is I looked, on their profile. For example, I'm looking on Facebook right now, like I'm getting an ad for MailChimp, and I'm going to click into the MailChimp profile from Intuit, and look, they post a day ago, 3 days ago, September 17th. So they're actively posting. And it's important for you to do that to have success with your Facebook ads to appear more legitimate than you would otherwise appear if you were simply just running a Facebook ad with nothing on your page. In a similar way to the Google ads with the PPC, you need to have a really good website to optimize and to get value out of those. With Facebook, you need to have a really good Facebook page to get value out of your Facebook ads. Now, the nice thing about Facebook is Facebook and Instagram are now under one umbrella, and I should really update the slides to say Meta ads, that you use the Meta Business Suite to push out on Instagram and Facebook, and they'll push out on like Instagram stories, Reels, sort of the regular feed, Facebook, all of that. It'll do it for you, and make sure that you are utilizing what's called A/B testing, which is a few different variations of an ad creative that can test. Now, Facebook ads really only work when you are spending a pretty significant sum of money. You're not going to see much value out of Facebook ads spending like $200 a month. You need to be spending $500 plus a month to see the sort of benefit out of Facebook ads. But if you're willing to send $500 a month to Angie, you should be willing to spend $500 on yourself, investing in yourself and investing in your business. And these are the digital marketing tools to use. I wouldn't recommend going anywhere else or utilizing any money anywhere else. And when we see this again, and we sort of call this your outbound marketing with the traditional and the digital that is happening here. We are going to be able to fill our schedule simply by doing this. I promise you. I've done it time and time again, and I've seen it work time and time again. It just has to be done effectively. The typical reason why marketing strategies do not work is either because we're not spending enough money on the marketing efforts or not being focused enough. Right, we're putting door hangers out in too many different neighborhoods. We're not being hyper-focused. And when we go back to sort of the Google ads and the Facebook ads and to the neighborhood blitz I was speaking about, we want to target the zip codes that we just hit with the door hangers, yard signs, and mailers. So all of a sudden, I'm a homeowner and I come home from work one day, oh, Tom's painting. I'm driving through the neighborhood. There's Tom's painting again. There's his truck. Oh, here's his yard sign. Oh my goodness, I'm out in my mailbox. I'm seeing Tom's painting there. I'm scrolling my Facebook page and there he is again, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, I might need a paint job done. Okay, painter's near me. There's Tom's painting again. Okay, I'm going to give him a call, right? It's about being everywhere. You need to be anywhere and everywhere. And sort of the last thing I forgot to mention with traditional marketing are some other forms that are a little bit effective, but not, I wouldn't say super effective. It's sort of that brand recognition, that community awareness. Think church bulletins, for example. Catholic church bulletins are really a fantastic place to get involved in. As a Catholic myself, I can't tell you the number of times that I've flipped to the back of my church bulletin and just simply called on companies that I needed. Oh, the electric company. This guy does plumbing. This guy does HVAC. I have a guy coming out next week to do my HVAC sort of fall tune-up that I found from church, right? And things like that matter to me and matter to the people that go to church. And if there's any sort of leaflet or distribution that has sponsors in really any Christian denomination, make sure that you're getting yourself involved in that. I'm also a fan of like the Little League banners, right? Throwing your banner up, it costs like $200 for the season, or sponsoring Little League jerseys. All of that is valuable and creates that brand recognition and that brand awareness. Now, let's go to referral marketing and talk about why that is important and what we can do there. And as I'm looking at the time, I see we're halfway through, and I apologize for spending so much time on marketing, but we can't really go anywhere unless we know how to market. So I need to spend the time sort of educating and teaching on this topic before we're able to advance into the second part of pillar number one. When we talk about a referral program, you need to have a referral program with homeowners. And the way that I always recommend it is we have a fun little name that we use, the Paint It Forward program, where what you can do is set up a program where if you do a good job for somebody, that you say, hey, I'm really grateful we got to do the job for you, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. If you know anybody that needs their house painted, we would be happy to give you depending on the size of the job, like $100 gift card to a restaurant of your choice. And if we think about marketing, I like to think about two specific terms to use and to think about. And they're acronyms that we use: CPE, cost per estimate, and your CAC, your customer acquisition cost. And if we think about it, if we can do a job for a homeowner, right, and let's say that homeowner, I don't know, it cost us $50 to acquire via a door hanger. And all of a sudden that homeowner then refers us, another job, and we have to pay a $100 gift card. So now we spent $150 for two jobs. So that's $75 customer acquisition cost. It's pretty cheap in terms of what we're looking at. Remember, I used the example of Angie, a guy spent $1,000 to get a job. Just not sustainable. So when we look at referral programs, you need to have an incentive to the homeowner that is referring the business to you. So like a $100 restaurant gift card. And then for the referee, the person that you are now doing the new job for, throw them a bone of like $100 off their paint job, right? Give them a little sort of discount that they can have there. And that's the referral program that you want to establish with your homeowners. Now, the second referral marketing that you can utilize is establishing relationships with real estate agents. Real estate agents, again, when we think about that buying and selling, the most common theme that real estate agents are going to recommend for those that are looking to sell their house is paint it. Okay, painted a flat white. Okay, when my wife and I, we bought our house in June, they painted the whole place a flat, sort of ugly white. And they had painters come in, they did it, and they're able to get, you throw $5,000 of paint down, you can have the listing be an additional $15,000, $20,000 simply by spending $5,000, right? ROI, real estate agents understand that. And they obviously work with a lot more homeowners than the one-off homeowner you can target any other way. So calling real estate agents, putting a referral program in place with them. Hey, if you give us any business, we'll do the same with you, or we'll refer business back to you. Because if we get called and it wasn't via a real estate agent and, hey, we're looking to sell our house this spring, oh, no problem. We actually work with this really great agent. We had an awesome relationship with an agent in Pittsburgh that gave us so much business, and it is so worth it to have these relationships in place. Now, when it comes to the other side of it too, when you're buying a house, when my wife and I, when we bought our house, the flat white, ugly, right? We've got a baby on the way this coming spring. We want to get the nursery painted, blue or pink, just depending on the gender of our child. I'm going to want to get it painted. Now, the painter in me is probably going to want to do it myself, but if I'm going to have a company come in there and do it, so many times it's painted both before the sale and after the sale. Right. And if you can capitalize on that, that is a huge, huge, huge benefit to have, especially because typically you have different sellers agents and buyers agents. Right. If I'm talking to my agent, hey, do you know any good painters after we close? You might be able to have that symbiotic relationship there. Now, you also want to be working with complementary contractors, think drywall, landscaping, roofing, even interior design. Similar relationship there where you wet each other's beaks, right? If I have a client that needs their roof done, I'm referring that, or drywall or landscaping or whatever it is. Introduce yourself. Be present. Be out there. Have yourself be known, and you will do well. Okay, I want to get into sales now because I know I spent 30 minutes talking about marketing. Marketing is important, and I felt it was necessary to do that. Remember, private chat is open for questions. So please, if you have any questions on marketing, make sure you're asking those questions in the chat. I'll try to speed through the next few pillars here so that we have time to do a Q&A and get through everything we want to get through here in this hour this afternoon. All right, so for sales, from scheduling estimates to being a professional, landing the job, on the scheduling estimates front, the number one best recommendation I can give you is so simple, but you need to do it. Answer the phone. Answer the phone. It shouldn't be a difficult thing for a business owner to be able to have a system set up where they can answer the phone, but I understand it. If you're the operator, if you're the guy in the field doing everything, it can be so difficult. I mean, I'm not going to pick up my phone while I'm on a 40-foot ladder with the paint bucket here and the paintbrush there. Just not going to happen. But if you are big enough to have somebody answer the phones for you, that needs to be one of the first things that you outsource. Thing number one. Thing number two, if you're really unable to answer the phone, you need to have a professional voicemail that is set up. The number of times I've called a contractor and it's just been, this is the robot 401, yada, 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 or a really unprofessional voicemail. Hey, this is Tom from Tom's Painting. Thank you for calling. The faster way to reach out to me is via text message or leave a voicemail here after the tone. Just have a professional voicemail. And lastly, put your estimates into a reminder system. Drip Jobs is a great one of them. Other tools that you can use to have your estimates in the system. Make sure you're doing it. Second point on sales is you need to be a professional. Okay. And if we're trying to build a professional business, like with all of my partner companies, that is what we are doing. We are building a professional, best-in-class organization. Nobody is going to be showing up to do an estimate with, looking like they just came off a paint site. It's just not going to happen. You need to show up looking professional. You need to have the collared shirt on. If it's the winter or the fall, it's a little bit chillier, throw the vest on top of that. Have the logo right on the shirt or the vest or whatever you are wearing. Have your truck wrapped. Make sure it is clean. Make sure to shake the homeowner's hand and establish a relationship. These sound like basic things, but so many people aren't doing the basics. And we now live in a world where if we simply do the basics the right way, we are going to see really good growth. If you show up looking the part, acting the part, and really being the part, you are going to come off as professional. And when you are working like with that neighborhood blitz, we're blitzing the high-end neighborhoods with wealthy homeowners and really nice properties. They care far more about value than they do about price. They're going to go with me if I show up and I look nice and I talk the part and I present them a really good proposal and I show them all my reviews and testimonials and all the rest. Then, Joe Schmo who's operating out of his truck that writes his estimate on the back of a business card and says, call me. Common sense. Now, when it comes to landing the job, you need to have a structured estimate process. And when I say that, you should have something that we call like a client binder or something that you can give to the homeowner while you are going and you are doing the estimate. You also need to present a price on the spot. I know this is difficult if you've never done it before, but we have a really good sort of spreadsheet tool that we use for our clients that we work with that can help you be able to do this. Okay. You need to be able to walk the property, get a price, and present the price on the spot, unless there are some crazy complications with access or lead or something along those lines, right? Do not leave without presenting the price. One big part about sales is making it easy to say yes, but also hard to say no, and creating friction to saying no. People like to be nice, okay? They simply do. And when I show up to a house and I'm professional and I look good and I have a nice presentation and I can provide them a professional proposal and I say, Mr. Thompson, very nice to meet you. We're going to take really good care of your house as if it was my own. You know, this project is going to cost you $8,000 to do. We can get you on the schedule here for October 28th. It's going to be a 25% deposit. Would you like to take care of that deposit, via card or check, right? And just being very blunt and to the point about it. And if you do that, I promise you, you will see results. It can feel a little awkward. It can be a little different at first when you're doing it, but you need to do these things to establish yourself as the guy. And also being sort of indifferent to the fact too, right? Obviously there's negotiating room, but the biggest sales advantage that you can have is, hey, listen, Mr. Thompson, I'm really busy. I'm going to give you a price. We're going to do a world-class job here. You're going to be super satisfied with your painting job that you're going to want to tell all your friends. But what I will tell you is that to negotiate a little bit on my price, but we are so busy that we need to get on to the next estimate, and on to the next one there. And sort of having that indifference there that it doesn't matter as much. Now, in a case where you absolutely need the work, you can sort of work with people to make that happen. But when we are doing this the right way, especially after the neighborhood blitz, and we're getting calls left and right, be indifferent. Only do the jobs you want to do. Don't work with the bad customers that are going to annoy you every step of the way and that are going to critique your guys while they're doing the work when they're not even done. Make sure you're doing that. And then make sure that you have a structured follow-up process if they don't say yes right away. It's unacceptable the number of contractors I've talked to that don't have a system for following up on leads that is out there. I mean, I was looking at, for example, again, that sort of partner company that we have in South Carolina. I can pull up their dashboard here right now as we're talking because it's always slightly changing, and it's what we call opportunity value, and that is value that is out there for us that we need to go chase down. Their opportunity value right now is $6.2 million, 173 bids that are pending. Okay, we need to chase that more than we need to try to find new people. Okay, and it has to happen together, but that $6.2 million that is just sitting there waiting for us to go grab, that a lot of people ignore and just say, oh, well, I'm moving on. You need to re-engage. You need to have a follow-up process. It is very important that you are doing this. Now, as we enter into the second pillar in human resources, we need to have people to be able to get the work done. Because if we do a really good job marketing, if we do a really good job selling, now we need people. And when it comes to HR, we need to think about the recruiting process, the hiring and the training, and then the age-old question, do I do W-2s or do I do 1099s? So on the recruiting side, for painters, please don't use platforms like LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter. Rather use targeted Facebook ads where you can spend about $3 a day targeting job seekers in your specific area and having a funnel come in that way versus using LinkedIn and Indeed. Those platforms are for more like professional positions. Now, if you're hiring like a project manager, an office manager, an estimator, those platforms are fantastic, but make sure you're knowing which one to use in which scenario. Make sure you're paying a competitive wage. Pay the market prevailing wage. Don't pay more, don't pay less, be competitive. And lastly, don't overhire. You want to make sure that when you bring guys on, that you are bringing them on after the marketing blitz has happened. And that's very important there as well. When we get into hiring and training, You need to set standard hours up front. Hey, we work 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Thursday unless there's a rain out. Be clear with expectations. You need to show up in your whites. You need to have a clean shirt on. We're not drinking and doing drugs on the job. I know some people like limiting smoke breaks and things of that nature for their people on job sites, limiting personal cell phone use. Set expectations. Have a training process. What is your way of doing things? Okay, the same way that any big business would have a training process, you need to have one as well. And it's important in a personal business like this that painter fits in with the culture with the rest of the team. Introduce the new painter to the rest of the team and make sure that there's that good cultural fit. Now, the W-2 versus 1099 question that we always get, and we like to answer, is and there's really no difference in terms of like how I care about how you do it. But if you use W-2 employees, make sure you factor in all the related costs, workers' comp, Social Security, Medicare, unemployment tax, all of that, so that if you're paying $14 an hour and it's more like 18, that you're factoring that 18 into your labor cost when you are doing your estimates. For the 1099s, unless you're just a small business, please be careful that they have workers' compensation insurance set up. It is required in most states by law that even if you 1099 somebody, that you as the GC, which you're operating as, has the ability to double check the workers' comp. So please make sure you're doing that. And at scale, the 1099 model is best, because when you're doing the marketing blitz and you're doing it properly, my recommendation, what we do across the board, is you sort of have a cohort of core guys that are your W-2, like 4 to 6 of them, and then the rest of them you sub out. That is best at scale. That is most affordable at scale. But if you're doing W-2, factor in the price into the overall cost of your labor. And if you're doing 1099, make sure they have workers' comp insurance. That is very important. All right, pillar number 3, operations, because I know we have about 15 minutes here and I'm only a third of the way through. When we think about operations, the first thing I want to touch on is scheduling jobs. You need to have some sort of corporate calendar to schedule jobs. It's very important that you can see this sort of at a glance. You need to require a 25% deposit to get on the schedule. I know people aren't big fans of deposits sometimes, but get a deposit. It protects you. It protects them. And be willing to pull people up on schedule if time allows, right? If you get a job done earlier than you think it is, pull people up on the schedule and keep rolling. And there shouldn't be down days. You need to be making money every single day. Splitting up crews. I wouldn't recommend having more than 3 to 5 people on the job site unless it's a big residential or a big commercial. Make sure you have a foreman on each one of the job sites that you're working with, and only split up the team when you can have at least 3 people on each site. If it's going to be like 3 and 2, maybe, but you need to have at least 3 on each site to make sure that the work is getting done properly. Color consultations, big fan of. Offer it for free. I've heard people say, oh, this is a $500 value that we're providing for free. I worked with, for example, with my businesses, we found like this typically college students that are majoring in art that like really like colors, and sort of train them on the Sherwin-Williams color codes and all the rest. Make sure you buy the paint, not them. Otherwise, no warranty, and make sure that's specified. I've heard so many stories of, oh, we wanted to use duration, but they really wanted to use like A100, and it's just a mess, right? You use your paint, buy your paint, get your discount, do all of that, and make sure you're getting your paint color selected at least 2 weeks in advance. Okay, I don't want to be the night before, hey, what color are you choosing again? And then, oh, shoot, they're out of that Sherwin. No, 2 weeks in advance. Place your orders early. And then when we go back to the pulling people up on the schedule, if we have the colors and we have it ordered, that's how we're going to be able to do this, especially with the deposit being there. And that's how we have efficient operations. Now, when we get into pillar number 4 and talking about business systems, there are really 3 major systems that you need to have to make sure that your business is running properly. System number 1 is your accounting system. You need to make sure that you have a bookkeeping software. I'm a big fan of QuickBooks. There's Oracle, NetSuite, and there's so many other platforms. FreshBooks is a free one, but you need to have some system. Ideally, if you have the money, hiring a bookkeeper to keep up with transactions, or at the minimum, you need to be doing this yourself. Okay, make sure that you're connecting your bank account, your business bank account, to your QuickBooks account, and that you're going in there at least a few times a week, categorizing your transactions, keeping up with your books. At a minimum, have a CPA do your taxes at the end of the year. Run your financial reports once a week, your statement of cash flows, your P&L, your balance sheet. You need to know your numbers. And the only way you can know your numbers is through a good accounting system. You need to have a project management tool. In the painting space, I know Drip Jobs is popular. I'm a big fan of a company called Notify, but you need to have a software to track your projects from that first estimate to that last invoice and everything in between. Make sure you're utilizing the job costing functions to ensure the profitability on each job. In Notify, for example, you can say, okay, here's what my labor budget is, here's what my materials budget is, and cost your POs and your payroll against specific jobs, also with the clock in, clock out function. And finally, the last system that is really important to have is a CRM software. Our preferred partner is HubSpot, but this system is a place where you can track interactions with clients and making sure you're reconnecting with those old estimates that you haven't closed yet on a quarterly basis. All right. So I know financial planning is going to take a few minutes here, so I wanted to speed through not the lesser pillars, but sort of pillars 3 and 4, which are relatively self-explanatory. I will also say for all of those here in attendance, we're going to get this slideshow blasted out to all of you after the fact. So as you're taking notes here, which I hope all of you are, you'll be able to sort of reference back to everything. And a recording of this will also be going out to those in attendance. All right, financial planning. And I put together sort of a sample budget so we can talk about what it looks like to actually create a budget. And this is something that you should be doing on a sort of monthly basis. So I have a sample budget, and we're going to use a little bit of you might call it a smaller painting company, just depending on what you're used to, but a typical painting company based off of what I've run into a lot. All right, my average job is $5,000. I have 2 crews that can get 2 jobs done per week. So I'm making $10,000 a week or $40,000 a month. Those are my assumptions. And you can change those assumptions based off of your particular numbers and change it up here. Okay, so I have my $40,000. I come into here and I'm going to calculate my cost of goods sold. COGS, you might hear it called. Okay, my labor. I have 6 guys. I pay my 6 guys $20 an hour. So over the course of my month, I'm paying them about $20,000 a month. Okay. My materials. Materials is typically, a percentage of the revenue, typically around 10%. So $4,000. And equipment is going to vary. Let's say I had to rent a boom lift this month. Okay, I'm $1,000 in on equipment. My cost of goods sold, 20 plus 4 plus 1. We get to $25,000 here. And we take our 40, subtract 25 from it. $15,000 or 37.5% is my gross profit. If you've ever heard that, gross profit is your revenue subtracted from your cost of goods sold. That is your gross profit. And then we want to figure out what our operating expenses are. So I'm over here, my gross profit, $15,000. Add up all your expenses that aren't related to the job. QuickBooks, Notify, CRM, marketing budget, office manager, project manager, bookkeeper, pretty much anything that you're spending that isn't labor, materials, equipment is your operating expense. Okay, mine is $5,000, let's say. Okay, $10,000. My net profit is now $25,000. So I take my $10,000 and I bring it over here, $10,000. I'm setting aside 25% of that for taxes. Okay, you need to be doing this. So $2,500 gets set aside for taxes. $2,000 gets put into an emergency fund. That emergency fund is for things such as vans, equipment, things that we might need that come up in emergency. $2,000 a month, that's $25,000 a year that I'm saving for this. And my owner's pay, I'm saying is $5,000. And my growth money, which is whatever is left over, 10,000 minus 2,500 minus 2 minus 5, we have $500 a month to spend. Now, this is sort of that smaller painting business side of things where, $40,000 a month that we're making, we're at around that $500,000 a year mark. And the reality is really until you get past that $500,000 mark and really break through it, your margins aren't going to be great. And we need to use this growth money to supercharge the business. So if I'm a contractor and I have this $500 a month left over, I'm spending all 500 of that, not on Angie, And I'm spending that on my marketing efforts. And for some people, in this $5,000, there might be marketing money there, which you can sort of have be in there. But I'm spending that $500. In my case, I'm going to get as many door hangers as I can get. And if I have to invest more, for a given month, I'm going to invest more and I'm going to hang them up. That is the first thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to get jobs based off of that. I'm going to continue to grow the business. And then we're going to go into, getting lawn signs and mailers. And then we're going to go into the digital marketing space. I wouldn't touch digital marketing unless your traditional marketing has a solid and a firm foundation. Whatever this number is, it is your growth money. Use it for marketing. Use it to hire people. Use it to bring on better technology and better systems. But there should not be anything left over at the end of the month after you've done this, because we've already saved $2,000 a month in our emergency fund, already put $2,500 a month for taxes, and we're paying ourselves $5,000 a month on top of that. All right. Lastly, pillar number 6, accounting and tax planning. Just a few pieces of advice for tax planning. I think it's an important, piece to go over here, as I know it is annoying to pay taxes. So let's talk about that just real quick here, and then we'll get into Q&A. So sole proprietorship, S corporation, limited liability company. If you are a sole proprietor, please deduct your home office expenses. So if you run it from home, like if you don't have an office, you can actually deduct a portion of your home expenses, like your rent or your mortgage, even your utilities and repairs, through the home office deduction. Ensure that the space is exclusively used for business to qualify. Keep detailed records to substantiate these expenses, which can reduce your taxable income. And so if I have a 500 square foot home office and my house is 2,500 square feet, okay, that's 20% of the place. And let's say my mortgage is $2,000 a month. Okay, well, I can now take 2,000, multiply that by 20%. I have a $400 a month tax deduction right there. Over the course of the year, that is nearly $5,000 you can take off of your taxable income simply by utilizing a home office space. Track your vehicle usage. As a sole proprietor, you're likely using a vehicle for transporting materials, meeting clients, visiting job sites. Make sure that you track your mileage and vehicle-related expenses, as those can be deducted. The IRS offers 2 different options. The standard mileage deduction, which I believe is 67.5 cents. So if you're the typical, American driving 15,000 miles a year, the 67.5 cent deduction, you can deduct nearly $10,000 off of your tax bill each year, or use the actual expenses method. Now, the only time the actual expenses method is more is if there's like a big repair or something. But actual expenses, you can deduct gas, you can deduct your insurance, you can deduct repairs, oil changes, maintenance. All of that can be deducted. So 67.5 cents per mile, or the actual expenses method. And finally, the self-employment tax. Unlike the S Corp and the LLC, sole proprietors must pay both the employer and the employee portion of Social Security and Medicare taxes, but you can deduct the employer portion, which is half of the self-employment tax, on your tax return, which reduces your taxable income. Now, for those S corporations that are out there, or LLCs that file as an S corporation, there's a difference between salary and distributions. As an owner-employee of an S corp, you must pay yourself a reasonable salary. However, any profits above that salary can be distributed as dividends, which are not subject to that self-employment tax that we looked at with the sole proprietor. This can provide significant tax savings as long as the salary is reasonable for the industry and IRS standards. So the easiest way to think about it is, who is your highest paid employee? Pay yourself $1 more than them and have everything else come out as a dividend, which is not taxed as high given the self-employment tax that you have to pay with your salary. Now, the second thing to think about is your health insurance premiums. If you are more than a 2% shareholder in your S Corp, which if you have one, I'd imagine you are, you can have the business pay for your health insurance premiums and deduct those costs on your personal tax return as what's called an above-the-line deduction. This can lower your taxable income, offering a super valuable tax saving strategy. And the last thing here is the Section 179 deduction for equipment. Use this Section 179 to deduct the full price of qualifying business equipment, sprayers, vehicles, scaffolding, ladders in the year that it's bought, rather than depreciating it over time. It can greatly reduce your business's taxable income, especially in big profitable years. If I had a super big year, I might go out and buy some equipment and write off the whole thing instead of depreciating it over several years. Now, the final entity is the LLC, the pass-through taxation. If you're a single member LLC, your profits and losses flow directly to your personal tax return, similar to that sole proprietorship. To minimize that tax liability, make sure you're maximizing deductions such as business supplies, advertising, travel, professional development. Make sure that they're all properly recorded. They'll help lower your taxable income. Think about the S Corp status. As your business grows, you can elect to be taxed as an S Corp, which may reduce that self-employment tax. You'll then take a salary in distributions similar to an S Corp, which is also going to help you save thousands of dollars in taxes. And finally, retirement contributions. As an LLC owner, you can set up a retirement plan, a SEP IRA, solo 401k, which also gives you a retirement option and an ability to reduce your taxable income. You can deduct the contributions that you make to these retirement plans, providing tax savings now and obviously that financial security for the future. Big word of advice, make sure you're working with a tax pro when you're doing your taxes here. By no means am I a tax expert. I'm simply relaying the sort of popular things that we help our partner companies with. Okay, so I got through the 6 pillars right in the nick of time here. I do want to take some time. If there are any questions that I can answer, please go ahead and put them in the private chat. I know I was like a little bit of a fire hose here as I was going through this, but I really appreciate all of you sticking around here. I'm seeing most of the audience stuck around for the full hour, which is awesome to see. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for sticking around until the end. I'm seeing I got a Lauren from North Carolina in here. I saw one of my favorite guys, Billy, he's in the call right now, a guy out of Michigan that I'm close with. Lauren, what do you do on the one-on-one call? And great question, Lauren. I forgot even to put up the link for the one-on-one call. During the one-on-one call, pretty much what I do is I take a deeper dive into your specific business. And pretty much all this information, customize it and personalize it to you. So we create a marketing plan, a marketing strategy. We put together a budget and a step-by-step process for what you need to do. We look at your HR situation. Are we overstaffed, understaffed? What's our HR plan? We look at your operations and think about how all of that is working and if there are any updates there. We look at your business systems and tailor recommendations specifically to you. We go through and we create a budget for you for the given month. It's a super valuable experience and an opportunity for you to go really, really in depth in that one-on-one session. And again, it does not cost anything at all. It's completely free. You get up to 90 minutes of one-on-one time with me. And obviously, it's going to be much more personalized to you than it would otherwise be if it was in a group setting. Okay, I do want to make good on my promise and give out the code word here for the Sherwin-Williams $500 gift card. In order to get this gift card, you must put the code in the chat. If you put the code in the chat, that is the only way I can know that you're watching live and not like napping right now. So the code word for today is going to be SW24. Sherwin-Williams 24 essentially, but SW24. Please go ahead. I'm seeing those codes come in now. As I get the codes in, I'm going to keep the webinar open here for another minute or two as those codes come in. Again, that's SW24. I'm so sorry for those watching the replay, but unfortunately you don't qualify. Our next webinar, we're going to host Tuesday next week, 2:30 p.m. So if you're watching the replay, definitely make sure to get yourself signed up for that. I'll make sure to get that info sent out. And all of this information, the slideshow, the recording, everything is going to get sent directly to your email. At some point here this afternoon, I'll have to check in with the team, see when that's getting sent out, but I'll make sure that happens. Again, SW24. and we will be emailing that gift card. It will show up Legacy Paint Holdings, Sherwin-Williams. So the email associated with your webinar registration, you will get sort of a digital, be able to get it there. And from what I've been told, you can use that both in in-store purchases and sort of the online purchases. I will say it one more time, SW24, put in the chat. I appreciate all of you so much for attending today's call. It's been an absolute pleasure. On behalf of Legacy Paint Holdings, my name is Benson Fechter, and we will see you next time. And I'm super pumped up for those that have signed up for a one-on-one. I saw a few of those come in here during the call. We'll talk soon. Thanks.